The fact that I want to bring together, the causes and the context of wetland conservation today are changing. So in the 90s, when Siberian cranes stopped coming to Jalaplavit National Park, it made headlines. Today, when I look at the newspapers, when I look at the chronicles, or even I look at the journals, the reasons why wetland conservation gets into the news are not that esoteric. These are about human existence. Today, incredibly valuable for their role in regulating water across a landscape, people are also now recognizing that less wetlands in the surface means the landscapes are exposed to the vagaries of extreme events, high rainfall events, prolonged droughts, and whatnot. So, wetland conservation, if it was for species in the 80s and 90s, it is for human survival today, and that brings it far more closer to our hearts, to our practice and action than what it was in the 80s and 90s. Not to say that the crisis of wetland species has been unabated or has been addressed. The crisis continues and perhaps has been deepened.
Definition of flyway can be at the individual species level, or a group of species, or a much wider group of species, families such as waterbirds. If you're talking about flyways of waterbirds, a flyway of waterbirds for ducks, geese, swans, herons, egrets, terns, gulls, storks, ibis, pelicans could be one definition of a flyway. If we consider the world in three large regions, the Americas, North to South America as one geographic area.
Okay, yes.
The Asia Pacific as one geographic area, and Asia, Eurasia into Africa as the third area. These are the three main flyway regions.
Okay.
Within these main flyway regions, you can divide it into subdivisions or flyways to get to the number 9. So in the Asia Pacific region, we have the Central Asian flyway and the East Asian Australasian flyway.
Okay.
What's important to recognize is that these flyways are not separate from each other, but they overlap in the breeding area, maybe also in the staging area where the birds stop on migration. But the terminus of the migration determines the entire length of the flyway. So you have an area of Russia where you've got birds breeding that go into India and then go into Southeast Asia and Australia. And so those become the two flyways in the Asia Pacific, as an example.